we've been talking about in constellations my first facilitator that was teaching us constellations, and this came up recently, is that, one of the most profound but also potentially difficult relationship is the mother-daughter relationship. So tell me a little bit, the fact that, and Michelle, this is something that you taught me, right? Is that when a woman is pregnant, there's 3 generations that are carried there, because the baby already has, their eggs that they're going to have for the rest of their life. So there's 3 generations already living in one body. So if you can tell me a little bit about your guys' experience, especially, of being both facilitators and being in constellations, how that's affected.
So I guess I start because I'm the older one, and
You're the mom.
we got Brooke with position here.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got Brooke with the. So yes, it certainly influences tremendously, especially because everyone has a crazy system. It's not the appanage of uh, the best. But let's say that because um, when I was in my mother's uh, embryo of 5 months in the womb of my grandmother, we were in actually 1922 because my mother was born in 1923. You see, so my mother egg absolutely had influenced me. So it goes even further and deeper, you see, because the egg that is in my um, mother's embryo, in my grandmother's womb, is also already influenced by World War I.
Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore, Marsha, that comes after, has a little bit of an imprint as well, you see.
Mm. Yeah.
And of course, this continues along the road. So now we're talking about 100 year
Yeah.
plus, you see?
Yeah. Yeah. 3 generations is about 100 years. Yeah. So you do
Yeah.
have.
Well, actually, it's 3 generations, but it's 4.
Yeah.
Because at the time, my grandmother was a young woman. She was 20,
Mm.
not even. She was 19 because she had my mother when she was 20 years old,
Wow.
you see?
Mm.
So we're talking about a long line of uh, traumas and talents.
Long line of traumas and talents. Yeah.
It's not just the deficit, it's also the assets that gives you, you see?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we've done 3 podcasts. This is the 3rd podcast that you and I have done, Michelle. So, if you can just give.
Plus many conversations.
Yeah, and bless many conversations over 12 years, 13, 14 years we're running on. We're longtime friends, but if you can tell people just a little bit about your story, and if they want to hear the kind of the deeper dive into that story, I think it's important for the context of this conversation.
Yes, I mean, it's not necessary that I go in the entire story because I mean, it was related. It was related when we did podcast together. But I think it's interesting to say that we did not encounter by chance, of course, but you did come to my constellation life at a very, very early point because I only had one constellation and it was not me facilitating when I met you because Masha had told me about this young woman that was doing constellation work. I had come to a group that she had formed because she was so excited by the experience and everything else. And she knew I would love it, of course, because we had the history, Marsha has been part of my spiritual journey since very early childhood because I took her everywhere, you know.
You know what she likes, basically.
And so I had done this constellation in New York, and of course, immediately I knew that this was for me. And I look at possibilities, and I found out that there was a facilitator, Mark Wallen, that was coming to Miami the month after that constellation. And this is where I went. And I remember vividly, because at one time when I thought I would be writing a book, which I left that behind, somebody is doing it for me. But I remember that the first representation that I did was your father when he was leaving Cuba.
Mm.
And I
Wow.
remember saying,
Yeah.
the first line on my book was saying, like, I have left Cuba with the taste of cigar in my mouth.
Wow. Yeah. Venezuela. My dad's from Venezuela, but yes, very similar
Venezuela,
stories. Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
Venezuela. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah. 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 Very similar stories. Yeah.
Similar
Yeah.
stories and similar
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
And this is where not only we met, but our soul connected because
Mm.
the same really challenges that your family had in Venezuela, my family had it in France occupied France. I mean,
Yeah.
in France occupied by the Nazi. And even in World War I, Europe has always been really the stage of war.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe, Western Europe, I mean, and it still continue
Yeah. Yeah.
with Middle East and everything else. So in a way, we all here, and I'm sure that all included, have been kind of marked by all those traumas,
Mm.
you see?
Mm.
And also the success story, because here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are not only, working on healing ours, but being a bridge for others to do the same.
Yeah.
So, what is it? Is it a detriment or is it an asset? I mean, our friend Tony Robbins say life happened for you, not to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be D, all the above, right?
Exactly.
That's what life is, right? It's all the above. You can take all of it, right? And just be grateful for the fact that we're here and there are these lessons that we need to learn. And, you know,
And it's the best attitude
yeah.
because it's the attitude of resilience rather than resistance.
Yeah. It's that shift from victim to victor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Masha, having, which is one of the coolest things that I've get to witness, right? That I've known you guys for a really long time, and I've seen, Michelle, your granddaughter being in constellations and, repeating the healing pattern of Masha when she was a little kid running around and doing all these healing modalities. And Charlie, your husband, Michelle, and your dad, Masha, and just like seeing the healing through generations that you get to witness as a bystander and a friend of the family, just like how these things have gone through the family and all these generations doing this stuff. And I'm so happy about seeing enough because our families are similar, right? You guys know my mom and my sister and you've met my dad and where the traumas came from and that all the and you know my kids, you've met my kids and just seeing those multi-generational families going through healing rather than repeating these stories. So Masha, how did that like growing up, what was that like to be in a family that was healing? Because I always ask the question like, is it too much? Is it too early? And he's like, do they get access? Like, what was that like growing up to doing that?
I think that for me, it was great because I was very interested in it from a very early age. So it's where I felt the most comfortable. And in the healing spaces, in the rooms with Abraham Hicks people. And I felt like I had like these two lives, where I had to be normal, and the other where I got to be authentic and be with people that understood and that I could say whatever I wanted to say around. And as long as it was, positive.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting, and it felt, I feel bad for other people who didn't have that growing up, because it's hard to grow up. It's hard, all of the different stages of growth. So it's definitely an attribute or an asset to have family members that have this desire for healing, for growth, for evolution, for transformation, as opposed to silence and whatever else other people do. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but going to what you were saying about how, my mom was in the embryo in her grandmother's womb, and we carry these stories, these traumas. It's such a good marketing thing for family constellations, because not only do you have to deal with the traumas of every day from the day that you were born, but you have a lot of shit that you have to heal from being this, seed
Yeah.
absorbing things that are not existing today, but wars and famine and whatever it is. So I encourage everybody to seek family constellation, because you may think you're doing well, but you're not.
Yeah.
You're not doing as well as you could be. So it is a very fortunate thing that I got to experience how to heal myself, how to speak my self-talk, and how to express my desires in a way that was in alignment with universal law from a young age. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and Michelle, you've been involved with the Abraham Hicks for years, right? I mean, that's been something that you guys have shared for a long time. Was that so? Let me ask you this question: was that kind of your guys' thing? Was like where you guys connected? What, like Tony and I, my son, go to Circle of Brotherhood on Tuesdays, and it's just like that's just me and him, right? That's something that him and I do together. Was kind of the healing space a place where you guys connected, like where you guys had that in common?
Well, I'll say this is that I definitely, yes, that was definitely something that I had common interest with my mom, because we would go to these workshops, and we, from a young age, and I would go and I would feel very special being in this small room of people who were devoted to Abraham Hicks. And at the time, the rooms were very small. There would be like 20 to 30 people in the room. I was always the youngest. So that was very exciting, and it was very fun. I got a lot of attention, which I like. And my mom and we used to listen to cassettes.
Okay.
We used to get the Abraham Hicks cassettes and listen to that in the car. And it was definitely something that was forming. She would say to me when I was upset about whatever it is, "What do you want? What do you want, Masha? Tell me what you want. And, we can transform it. And are you allowing right now? I don't think so. Are you resisting? I think so." So that was definitely something that we had in common, the Abraham language, law of attraction. What are you attracting? What are you?
That's such a powerful insight in like a common language. And Michelle, like from the I would imagine, Masha, you were a kid, right? You were how old were you?
I think you started at 9 years old, maybe 9, 10.
So almost a 9-year-old seeing things. What was that 9-year-old's brain looking at healing from a new perspective, or almost using it as a core fundamental language for growing up that way? What was that like?
You see, you have to understand that, first of all, I grew up with a mother that was a witch. She was a good witch, and sometimes a bad witch, but she was a witch. She had an incredible intuition.
Mm.
She could see someone and say, "Oh my God, this guy is not gonna make it long," and then you would hear that the guy died yesterday,
Oh,
and I
wow.
was, "Oh my God," She was like very, very weird. Okay, so from a very young age, I was used to astrology, um, to see, and she would read tarot card. She would read, the coffee. What do you call it?
Grounds
Because
the coffee
like
beans.
my grandmother had taught her how to read the tea leaves, all the kind of things. So already it was not her mother, mother-in-law, and so she was very, very special, very intuitive, and so I think the first time I saw, a psychic, I must have been 10, you see?
Wow.
And and every time they were telling me my life and everything else because I would go with her, you see?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so for me it was like it's kind of natural thing. And Masha, from a very young age, I knew she was someone very special. She was an
Mm.
old soul, even older than mine. She was very connected. She was here in a way to be a teacher of mine.
Mm.
And it revealed to be true because, like she say, she's the one that introduced me to constellation. So we were like teacher, student to each other. But it's not always easy, you see, because I was also a very busy woman because I always worked. Okay. From very early age, I always worked very much. And so I was not as present as a mother in a mother role.
Mm.
Maybe sometimes too much of a teacher, not enough of a mother.
Mm.
And also, the interesting thing is that my mother, who was the mother, but the mother that can smother you, which she did with me, she was a great grandmother for Masha, but she will also criticize me to
Mm.
her.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
She So it was like a very I would say we were treading in very thin ice in the relationship. It was not an usual relationship of a mother and daughter, okay? We loved each other, and I know that she knew that I was there always. But I also left her very independent because my mother smothered me and I had to escape, really. So it's a lot of different, a different connotation, but we kind of worked parallelly, you know, in a great way because the result is pretty good.
Yeah. The result is amazing.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I think that like the education that we both got. So my mom had, she had this mother who was very witchy and intuitive. She started at 10. I did, went with my mom and did all these things at 10. But our educations were very different because my grandmother was more of that witch, but she wasn't very kind and she wasn't very spiritual or I never saw her do anything like meditating or anything like that. I remember when my mother was started to get into meditation and breath work, she used to make fun of her because they used to get into these fights and my mom would go into this, start breathing. And my grandmother used to mimic her, but like make fun of her for breathing. So it was definitely very confusing for me because the spirituality of all of that, I think I started to understand that there were different forms of spirituality
Yeah.
and what you call the occult, right? Eastern medicine, all of the woohoo things,
Yeah, the alternative side, yeah.
the alternative things, but the education that I got from my mom and what we were seeking was more peace related, manifesting your desires, speaking in a way that was loving, positive self-talk. So I think that I definitely saw that there were two sides of this spiritual world. And the world that my grandmother had was one like, I'm not into tarot at all, at all.
Yeah.
I'm not into psychics at all. So there's very different, I definitely got a different sense of what my mother was talking about. It was like a buffet that I was like, no, I'm going to not pick from that buffet right there.
But it's interesting because we both, in a different way, got to get out of it.
Yeah.
But you know what? We go back to the benefit and the deficit. I think it
Hmm.
was a benefit because now we know the difference. You see?
Yeah.
Because some people are very often disturbed when it's very spiritual and only raised in that pure, positive, and everything else energy, then they get very easily disturbed. Or the opposite is also good, also true.
Yeah.
So I think that in a way, my mother served me by showing me the side that is not what I embraced.
Yeah.
And it served Masha as well to see the difference.
Yeah.
You
And you
see?
can, as you guys are talking, the image that comes into my mind is this pendulum that swings from one side to the other, through the generations. And I think the work that we do is to make that the swinging less pronounced, right? That instead of going, from one side to the other, and that's what trauma does is like, you completely reject or you completely repeat the pattern, and the pendulum does these big swings that, in your guys' system, it like the pendulum just go, like from one side to the other, and then you start getting this balance and you find, the center. And I would imagine, your kids, Masha, are very grounded and very centered and very intuitive, and probably have this right sizing with their spiritual side as much as, the human side. Right. And I love how you put that. It's like, I could talk and be normal, right? It's like, I could talk about kind of the spiritual side and then talk about, and because I've experienced the same thing my whole life, that is like, oh, when we get together and we start talking about spiritual things, people are like, you people are crazy, right? And, right, doing constellations, you're telling people, and people are like, oh, you're in a cult and you guys are weirdos. And now it's like, you can really integrate both conversations and show up as the full self, right? Rather than that split between.
Yes, and to be non-judgmental, you have to know what judgment is. To be not cynical, you have to know what cynicism. To be, you to be fearless, you have to know fear.
Yeah.
It's an education.
Yeah. And have that kind of balance and right sizing of all of those emotions, and what you're saying, Michelle, about trauma and talent is so appropriate, and now I know you guys are shifting gears a little bit. I know you guys are working together, and bringing this modality to the world. How's that dynamic been? And is this like a, magnum opus of your guys' work, that you guys are working together and presenting family constellations to the world? How's that dynamic been?
So with work, I feel like I've always worked with my mom since I started working. We've had different businesses together, and so I learn a lot from her because she is like the ultimate businesswoman. She really is such an amazing businesswoman, and so it comes through in anything that she does. And so I learned so much from her from that. Obviously, like, this is definitely more fun. I get to travel. I get to go to all these different places and meet very interesting people. So this is my favorite business that we've had so far. So Knuckles, like that a lot. She is, I think that our working relationship is great because we have a good relationship outside of work. It definitely blends into the two because we're always talking and we're always discussing this basically for the most part. And so it does work really well. I do a lot of things in an assistance role for my mom. So I am the best assistant that she's ever had in her entire life, and nobody could ever take my place. So don't even think about it.
Makes sense.
She's made it very clear that I am her number one assistant. So I know what she likes to eat. Most importantly, I know what she does not like to eat. So that, because she's a picky eater. I mean, like a toddler, really. It's a fun fact about Michelle. And I know like what her different needs are and her expectations. And she has very high expectations for work and work ethics and integrity and all of that. So I love it. It's great. We have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot, and and I learn a lot. So it's a win-win.
And if I can add, I think it's the perfect situation because, look, I'm not going to do that for that long because I think already I have, my longevity is already great. So how long am I going to be here? But so it will be a legacy for Marsha, I think, because she will be able to really get into the shoes naturally, and at this time, because she's a very good mother. She's much better mother than I was in that sense of mothering, and she's very close to her children, with the work, with the gay, with the everything. She's very attentive. Okay, I did not have this leisure, but even if I had to be honest, I don't know if I would have had the talent for that. Okay, so she did not get it
The
from me.
desire.
She did not get that from me. Okay, she was unfortunate to have a incredibly, and you knew him, very doting father. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was a father, he was a grandfather, he was even I would say a sibling for her. He was everything. It's true, isn't it?
Yes, he was like my ultimate companion, because my mom would work and travel, and he would take me places, and he would take me where I needed to go, and he was very nurturing too. He had a very nurturing side to him.
Exactly. And I worked in retail for years. So it was Saturdays, Sundays, whatever. He would take her to the park. He would do all the things that I was not able to do. And I would not have been gone. I would not have been good to do it either. Okay. Was not my thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's good because she, at this stage of her life, she's still very busy with her children. Okay. They're not in college yet. So this will change when so it give her the opportunity to do her own work. And actually, even when they were younger, she did work in, without me when you were working with Gabby, for example, or things like that. She has clients, she works on her own, but not as much as I do, because for me, what else do I have to do? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is is not just my main occupation, is my main entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a good balance
Yeah.
because it gives her the opportunity not to have to work constantly to be known in the field, you see. She's
Yeah.
always part of the field, but she does it at her leisure.
Mm.
And me, I'm part of the field constantly because I sleep and eat and on it.
You live in the field.
I live in a field. Yeah.
Yeah, and that statement, that's such a powerful statement. It's like, please bless me if I choose to do it differently, which is just like such a beautiful manifestation of that, right? Is that, in some way, and I don't want to speak for you, Masha, but you're doing it your way, right? That, and it's when the timing's right and the stuff, and it goes in different phases of life. It's just such a powerful thing to see that, like they say in AA meetings or Al-Anon, keep working because it works if you work it. Kind of that thing is like the work that we're doing and the dynamics that we show is the evidence that this stuff works, right? That healing and dealing with trauma, taking those talents and taking those gifts and the trauma and acknowledging all of it and giving all of it its space, that it actually works, right? And, so many people talk about, working in a family, right? It's like working with your family. So I work with my sister and my mom, and the one of the biggest evidence, that one of the biggest pieces of evidence that you can show is that it works. When
Yeah.
you work with your family and when you've dealt with the crap and when you've dealt with the mountain of stuff, that you guys can work together, right? That it's not, cats and dogs going, did you guys ever see American Choppers? The sons that would build the motorcycles and they're like throwing chairs at each other, and it's all reality show, and they can't stand each other, and it's a family, and they're super dysfunctional, and this is harmony. What harmony looks like, that everybody's in their place and everybody has their time and everybody has the space to do the things and support in the way that they do it. So it's really is a testament to how well this stuff works.
Absolutely. And also like the intention, like my intention, this, John, because it's what I intend for you as well, is that for all the facilitators, for everybody who does this work, for that it becomes so mainstream that it's like, okay, so, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to Family Constellation, obviously, or for it to become like so ingrained in everybody's life. So that's really my dominant intention right now. So it's, everything that I could do with social media, with responding to emails, and just making sure that my mom, you, John, everyone who is doing this work actively, that people know about you, and that it becomes like a common mainstream language. Like, so that to get to the point where you don't have to say to somebody like, do Family Constellation, have you heard of it? People like will say right away, like, of course I have. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm so grateful for you guys because, in some ways you guys built the path for this, right? And Michelle, and you for how many years did, constellation after constellation after constellation in your apartment in Miami, and so many flowers came from, and so many different kind of people blossomed from that ecosystem. And I'm just, I just want to say how grateful I am to both of you guys, because you guys both had this huge part of, in your own way, being supporting this ecosystem and popularizing the work, right? And saying, really hitting the main stage.
Yeah, we are in together. So do I. So are you, because you see, with your podcast, with your constellation work and everything else, in top of your own career, because
Yeah.
this is not your main career, okay? And this is one thing that we really have in common, among many things, is that we have been here to spread the word
Mm-hmm.
in any way or form that we can.
Yeah.
And this is where universal laws and all that we have learned with the like of Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle, besides Abraham and everything else, all the teachers, is that when we set up intentions, when we stay on the line of choosing where we would like to go, of choosing, knowing that life is a smorgasbord, that we are creators, that we can do, then things happen. Okay? Things happen. And they happen through the will, they happen through the heart, they happen to the mind. Everything is playing a part. You see?
Yeah. And like you, this has happened to me a lot lately, and it's because I'm in the right space healing, and I've done the work, and I've done the stuff that's happened. It's like things just happen easily. It's the weirdest thing in the world. I've been somebody that sent, many of the articles that I write, I send them to a lot of people, and then suddenly I did some work, and some people in my family did the work, and then it's like I sent one email and I got to the person that I wanted to get to, and immediately everything worked out. And it's like, this is like magic. It doesn't make any sense. I wish it was always this easy. It was like, well, you weren't ready. You didn't have, there was a pebble in the system that was holding the gears together, building, damming up that momentum, the systemic momentum that we've seen. And it's so exciting to talk to other people that are in the same boat, that you guys got on these world stages in Abu Dhabi, and, like talking to extraordinarily influential people around the globe. How did that process work for you guys? Was that like a timing thing? Was it something that you guys have been working on? How did that process work?
Okay, so I can talk about that because every day I do intentions.
Mm,
Okay. I mean, the way I coach actually is pillars, and building or rebuilding the foundation,
yeah.
meditation, connection, appreciation, and intentions. Okay. And my intentions every day is to spread the word, for this work, to spread the work. I mean, I really, since day one, and this is what I really teach, and I know Masha does the same. Teach the people that have a desire, that have an intention, but they don't really know how to navigate the ropes. Okay, but the ropes are very simple. You choose.
Yep.
It shows we have choices. And it's funny because a lot of people, then the universe works its own way. One of my intention is every day to say, I choose to drive my life with the universe as my co-pilot.
Mm,
So the universe is my GPS. I never say I choose to be, I never say that I choose to be invited by Tony Robbins, for example.
yeah.
But I always say, and I always visualize myself being called by somebody important. And in my head, it would have been Oprah, which I had kind of connection, but I
Yeah.
was not the one to go for it. It would have
Mm,
had to come. So it's very interesting because a lot of people say to me, how did you get to go there? And my answer is always through the heart.
mm,
And you know why? It makes a lot of sense. Because actually, the person that introduced me to them is a cardiologist.
mm,
So it's really to the heart. And interestingly enough, the last time I was in Miami, I had lunch with this person. And I told the story, about Alice and Michelle. Remember that you had to unblock your heart
mm.
before it happened because I had blocked arteries, and I say, yeah, I did not think about that.
Actually, this is like the anniversary of your heart surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because remember, you were in recovery. I think it was around this time you were in the hospital on my birthday, and my birthday is tomorrow. So
Yes, 3 years
it was,
ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and how much things have changed in the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
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 So it's and you cannot make up this stuff.
Yeah.
This is the way it works because the intentions is there
Mm.
Mm.
and you reinforce it. So, you know, and it's a job.
Hi, I'm John. Zulu One is more than just a podcast. It's a mission to bring healing to families and communities. By becoming a supporter on Buzzsprout, you make this mission possible. Click the link in the description and join us. And thank you so much for being here.
It's a job. So it's why a lot of people don't. And actually, those intentions, that were channeled to me 15 years ago, um, How many times did I or Masha send it to people and then they don't have it? They don't know where it is. And Masha had actually it was Remy. She had the idea of making pictures, didn't she? Wasn't it Remy?
It might have been William, maybe William, Remy or William. Somebody, the two was
Somebody
like,
said to do. So Masha has been putting on Instagram, okay, those illustrated 44 intentions.
Yeah.
John knows because I tag him every day.
Yeah. Yeah. They're great. They're outstanding.
Isn't it the second time around with different images,
Yeah.
Because images work better, imagination. Language is so important.
Mm.
Language is so important. And I like to say something that I heard very recently. Okay. Very recently, I heard someone, the scientifically proven thing of the two first organs that were formed in a fetus. Okay? In a fetus, the two first organs. And everybody can guess who is the first one. Is the heart. What do you think is the second one?
I know the answer, so I'll let John.
I'm gonna guess. Let's see. The eyes? No?
It's the tongue.
Oh, okay.
Because first there is the vibration,
Yeah.
then there is the sound, and then there is the word. Lingos, lengua in Spanish,
Yeah.
langue in French. Okay?
Mm.
And that tongue, which means when the tongue speaks from the heart.
Wow.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Wow. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I didn't know that. The tongue.
I did
Wow.
not either. I heard it, 3 months ago? Something like that? A couple of months ago?
Did we ever fact check that?
No. Yeah, it was scientifically proven.
Okay.
Wow. That's very powerful to think about, that connection between what we speak into existence and the heart,
And how focused I am on language.
Yeah. Yeah. Very focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Language is essential.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that you say, and I always repeat this, is responsibility, right? That ability to respond. It's like, that's what responsibility at the core is that having that ability to respond. And, what a gift to have this conversation with your mom, Masha, the day before your birthday, right? It's like,
So cool.
what was happening all those years ago, right? When the day before you're getting ready to give birth is, and having this conversation right now, I think is such a beautiful thing and such a testament that we're on the right track and having,
yeah.
What a gift.
Yeah.
The gift that I had. I mean, it was not easy, okay? Because I remember that the day before, okay, when I really start having the labor pain, and then I had 12 hours of labor,
oh,
and I ended up with a C-section, which as we know in constellation, a C-section is a trauma for the baby.
Mm. Yeah.
So, it's because it creates a break in the bond.
Yeah.
But then you have to recreate, you have to reconnect.
Yeah.
And you see it very often in when the delivery is difficult, when the pregnancy is challenging, when there is any kind of if you stay long in the hospital.
Yeah.
I could not breastfeed because my milk was not good. So it's a lot of things that play that you have to overcome. Then
Yeah. Yeah, and that constellation where you and I met, with Mark was doing a lot of early disconnection work with the mother. Do you remember that? It was the work was so powerful. It'd be like, what was, the constellation would come up and be like, what was your birth like? It's like, oh, my mom got really, really sick after the birth. And it was just about people taking a step towards their mother and just doing like a very quiet, no talking movement of just connecting with the mother, right? And the representative of the mother. It was so beautiful of doing that work. I'm just,
All this work is beautiful. The also the fact that sometimes a child is born, and then the mother is very soon pregnant with a second child, so it's not available to the baby that is growing up, or all this everything that is linked to that. The miscarriages can be,
yeah,
you have to work it out for the child that comes with after miscarriage or an abortion.
yeah,
All this work. I remember, it's very funny because during the training, actually, I remember that when Mark wanted to work about the miscarriage and abortion, when he came to me, I say, I'm fine, I'm good. I made peace with it and everything. He said, you got to do it. I said, no, I'm telling you, I'm good. And he said, if you don't do it, I'm not going to certify you.
oh wow,
Wait.
yeah,
So I say, okay. And I ended up in tears. And one of the children that I did not have, which was an abortion, was your wife. It was Miranda representing.
really,
I remember
wow,
that, yes.
oh wow.
Full circle, family
Full
constellation.
circle, exactly. How these constellations all come together. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yet I thought that I had it worked out.
Yeah.
It's why we work only with 20% of conscious mind.
Hmm.
And this was why I called it the missing link. I say it many times because I thought that I knew it all
Yeah.
until,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we never do, we
Yeah.
never do know it all anyway.
Yeah.
Because every time there is something new that comes to the surface.
Yeah. I'm usually envious of people that have never done constellations before and they're at their first constellation because they pass that threshold, right? That's like, it's like Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's in the black and white and she's in Kansas and then it's all color, right? It's like, and it's 4K HD, avatar. It's just, it's wild to see people that come through that threshold. And, somebody had just done a constellation. They'd come down and I was facilitating a constellation here in Fort Lauderdale. And they were like, now I know, now I understand. I'm like, yeah, that's, we were entangled by these patterns and now we're breaking free of them.
And everything, and it's interesting because this is how you start this talk about the mother tongue, the
Yeah.
mother country, the
Yeah.
motherland.
Yeah.
Remember in Fort Lauderdale, the last time I think it's the last time we worked together.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I was inspired to have all those people that had a difficulty with connecting with that country of origin.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
And you know how many people have called me after that to tell me how it changed their perspective and everything else?
Yeah.
Because, all those things, and they all about the mother.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. So I did a variation of that mother one and I did the 4Ms. So 4Ms is you do 2 lines of people. The first line, is working and then they represent your mother. And then the other line represents money. Then the other one represents your motherland. And then the other one represents your meaning in life.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's like staggering and going, that was such, and that was inspired by you. Yeah. That was inspired by you. That was
I love
that was
that.
a very, very powerful one. Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah. It's a heavy
You know
lift,
it.
but it's really good. Yeah.
It's good that we can inspire each other, and we do it with so much love and gratitude and everything else, which is wonderful because there is something beautiful about that, because in business usually there's always a little bit of competition,
Mm-hmm.
and not in constellation,
Nope.
because it's all about openness.
Yeah. There's so
And
much abundance.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And sharing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
It's the premise of the modality.
Yeah. It's the premise of the modality that, that there's a infinite level of abundance out there that it's just waiting to get tapped into, and that's what I love. It's so collaborative, and we help each other out, and it's part of where this comes from, Yeah. 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 So, Masha, tell me some of the surprises that you've had over working with your mom. What has that been like? What's some of the like happenstances or curiosities that have happened, you guys working together?
She surprises me every day.
That's such a gift. That's so cool.
Every day. Well, I mean, she's such a character, really. Like, she is definitely this, I think that's why she belongs like on stage with all these people and watching her, because she is such a character, really. And she's able to go deep inside of her heart, but also has like a sense of humor. And so all of these different things. So, surprising. She has such multi facets about her. She can play, there's the card Michelle, who plays cards, and she can get lost in her cards for hours and hours and hours. And there's the mamish, the grandmother who doesn't say no, who's like, anything you want, my grand, oh, whatever you want, you put in mamish. You want money? I give you money. I am money. That there's the tough cookie, who's like, I need to find out and get to the bottom of this because it is driving me crazy, Masha. You need to find out what to do here. All of these different things. So I'm always, on my toes, ready to. There's been so many times where she's about to go on her, either it's U.R.I.M or something, and she's like, oh no, something's not working. And I'm in my car on my way going to. So it always keeps me on my toes. It's really fun. And obviously all the great perks of going to Abu Dhabi, and Mexico, and being able to go to all these different UPW Tony events and meeting so many wonderful people. And I think the best part of all of those things is my mom goes in the wheelchair because it's easier. I mean, she can walk. It's funny when people see her walking and they're like, she walks? Just faster. And like when I'm wheeling her to the bathroom because there's a short break and she has to pee, and people stop in front of her and they say, can I just hug you? And I just want to tell you how you've changed my life. And I'm like, and I have to navigate her and get her to the bathroom and whatever. So it's always a lot of fun. And it's, every day. It's kind of an adventure. Right, Mom? And we have a lot of fun.
I just want to say something. Or when I am, in the most, what you call it, luxurious hotel of Abu Dhabi, I bargained with the guy on the cashmere shop.
Yeah, she's like, she was cold. It's always very cold at these Tony events. And she's like, we're at this beautiful hotel and this guy is selling, I don't know, scarves made from goat, like the most beautiful. And she's like, I tell you what, I buy two and and she's haggling. Like, those were just the funniest thing. And, and then she'll start talking and saying about what she does. And then everybody falls in love with her. And it's great. It's good to be Michelle Blechner.
Yeah, no, that's such a cool thing to witness, especially with your family, I was hearing Jordan Peterson talk about, working with your family, that, if you raise your kids right and you do this work, that you may have the opportunity and the gift to work with your kids. Right. And it's like and you get to have the inside jokes and you get to live life together. Right. And it's like such a beautiful thing that you have these experiences, and especially in this phase of life that you just have, like, you're adults and you like each other, right? It's not by obligation. You just really enjoy each other's company, and you can clearly see that you guys have such a good time together and navigate these incredible opportunities together. It's just it's like a miracle, to have that, especially. And that's why I wanted to make this conversation, like the mother-daughter relationship that, so many people struggle with, and that there's beauty in this.
We've definitely had our struggles. Like, I don't want anyone
nobody does. Yeah.
Like we've worked through a lot of stuff. And so, and that's what's so important is that, when you start realizing that the relationship that you have with your mother and your father are really important, and they'll dictate all other relationships that you have in your life. Like, you want to heal that shit. Yeah. And so even though our relationship, my mom and I, was never traumatic, or anything that was dramatic or anything like that, the regular just mother-daughter stuff that comes up, we've healed through that. We can laugh through things. She could tell me when I'm being a pain in the ass. I could tell her when she's being a pain in the ass. And that's all about the honesty thing, Sometimes I'll be like, my mom, stop, like, enough, or she'll say to me, Macha, you better, change your vibration. So we both call each other out, like the other day, I don't know what was happening. And she said something like, I really want, I go, I choose. And, so we're both are each other's reminder of all of this work.
Yeah.
So,
and that's, that's, and I think that's the real story here, is that even though there's difficult times and challenges, that if you work on your shit, and my favorite saying, right, is like, if you work on your shit, that there's light on the end of the tunnel. And there's this incredible reward of like connection and memories and lived experiences together on the other side of this, that you can create a family that collaborates, that are all aligned, that all are on the same kind of momentum towards healing. So, and you guys just display that beautifully, not to minimize, the struggles of the past in any way, but to really say the struggles are part of the story. The struggles is what makes it worth it,
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's always wonderful. And this is why it's so sad when you have systems where the mother passed when the child was very young.
Yeah.
And you can see what happens afterward, because the mother, even when the mother is a pain in the neck, even when the mother is very difficult and challenging and everything else, it's really an imprint.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for my pain in the neck mother,
Yeah.
because she really taught me so wonderful things about life as well, you see. And then also what happened, and that is very important, is to remember that mother behind you has been a child too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has been a child having to deal with the mother's trauma of her own mother and all the stuff that has happened even before, generations before. So we got to give a break to mothers.
Yeah. And they did the best that they could with what they had,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, And no one can work alone. It's an equal system awareness that we work together, and when you think about it, and it's why I'm grateful to you that you have taken this opportunity to talk about mother and daughter. Is in this work is the most essential relationship.
Really is. I mean, when you think about it, when it ties, like what you said, money, meaning, all of those things are what make us thrive and have the potential of making our lives really more meaningful. So it's an important relationship to work on. I mean, it's a relationship that Mark Walwyn was told to work on first when he was going blind and was having all of those things. So, you get to the root of that. I mean, I could see myself like in my role of mothering when things happen and, crap happens and problems occur and issues come up. I can see why some mothers can choose to check out emotionally when things get really hard, when things start happening, and how difficult it is to stay present. So I've been analyzing a lot of the ways that when I'm confronted with an issue with my children, I really check in with myself and see the different ways that I would like to respond. Some of the ways that I'd like to respond sometimes is getting on a plane and going somewhere warm and just laying on a beach somewhere and letting someone else take care of it. So, so I understand, like now I understand why some children can later on say, oh, my mom just always seemed very checked out whenever there was an issue, whenever there was a problem. So it takes a lot to be present when your children are in pain, because there is no harder pain to deal with as a parent than seeing your children in pain. So all of these tools help us as mothers, fathers, to really be present with that pain, and to also understand that when I see my children in pain, I check in with my inner child, because that is something that's triggering for me, and to really begin to allow that check-in process so that the solutions can come up, so that we can start, so I can think clearly, because as mothers, really, and fathers, that's the most important thing. You choose to be able to think clearly, rationally, and so that the guidance can come in. I'd read this quote years ago, and it was Jacqueline Kennedy who wrote it. And she said something like, if you bungle raising your children, nothing else you do well in life will have much meaning.
Oof.
And it's something that I think about all the time in terms of even, purpose and doing the work and getting out there in a big way, because I've always chosen to really be very present with my kids, and to be there and to do things for them, with them, and that in mind. But because I really feel that it's not about like what school they go to, or their accomplishments or their successes, because we know that is something that's their journey, right?
Yeah.
But to be a mother that can give your children that love and that support, and stay present and not bring their own shit to the table, is a very challenging thing to do at times.
Yeah.
So we need all the help that we can get to do that. But it is something that I think about all the time, about, these are my children. They came to me, and it is my responsibility to make sure that I give them the tools and the resources so that they can have the lives that they want to have, that they choose to have. So it's something that I think about all the time.
Yeah.
One quote from Jacqueline Kennedy. It's just,
and there is something that it's important to add, because neither one of us here had this problem, okay? But we see a lot of couples then part, and when the parents fight and criticize each other to their children, because we see a lot of it, okay, in this work, as you know,
Yeah.
how challenging they make for their children to grow up in an healthy way.
Yeah.
Because if you criticize their mother as a man to your children, and then they criticize the father as a woman, the children don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They lose all marks.
Yeah.
You see? So that is a very important always to underline when we do this work with people, because they often forget.
They often forget. Yeah. Yeah. And how much the tongue can create, but also destroy. You know, it's
Absolutely.
like, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable the number of people that don't realize that they do that to their children.
Yeah. And what I think, tying Masha's point before to this point is that, our children are barometers, right? In some way of what's going on. And Masha, I think
They
you're absolutely
feel,
right.
they know.
Yeah, they know. And they're representing that inner child wound that we haven't dealt with yet. And that may be anxiety or, disconnection, or maybe, some compulsive behavior or whatever that is, that you'd be like, what's wrong? It's like, how about parenting through constellations? Have you ever had that approach? Right. It's like, and I think at the beginning of this conversation, we were having this, like, I feel so terrible about people that don't have access to this tool. Like, I feel a deep sense of responsibility and duty to say, to get this work to as many people as possible, because they're living lives of suffering without having any way out. They're tied in this pattern of pain and repeating a pattern over and over and over again, when there's this extraordinarily effective tool that can break these cycles and give people meaning.
But this is why it's important to spread the word. Don't even think about people that cannot have access.
Yeah.
Think of everybody that we can access.
Yeah.
And focus
Yeah.
on this, and be grateful for everyone that we have access
Yeah.
to, and that have access to other people that have access. Every day I mean, every day I get text, I get email. Someone told me about you, and they say that that's your life, and they make appointment, and they do, and it's that way.
Yeah.
And we have to focus that this is the only way,
Yeah.
and it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. 15 years ago, when I met you,
Yeah.
I remember it was 33,000 facilitators in Brazil,
Mm.
because Brazil is a very evolved country for
Yeah.
that. It was not 33,000 people that knew about constellation then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look at that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Look at that. We are pioneers, and you are young. So you have to continue the work even deeper and even more, and with all your soul.
Well, John, I already have John and his family that are going to take me in when you're not here anymore. So, already made that plan for myself. But can I share a story, a parenting story?
Yeah, of course.
So recently, my son had some shoulder issues, and he plays ice hockey, and it's his life, like it's his passion. And right now, he's on the road to, be going to college and playing hockey at college. That might happen. That might, whatever it is, his path and stuff. And it was brought to the table that these shoulders needed surgery.
Mm.
And if you know anything about hockey season lasts like forever. It's just
Okay.
ongoing, right? So I very much wanted to get the surgery right away. Get it done. You know what? You'll be back in time for next season. Let's do this. And, my husband played hockey in college. And so we're a big hockey family. And everybody was on board, including my son. And then, I don't know, obviously like things shift. And he was saying that he wanted to finish the season, that the coach wanted him to finish the season too, and that he can rehab the shoulders and then afterwards get the surgery and whatever it is. So, I wasn't too happy about that. Like, I'm somebody who likes to just get things out of the way and let's do this and whatever. So I went to Susie. Tucker had a workshop a couple weeks ago, and I was fortunate enough to be able to go. And she said to me, is there anything that you want to work on? So I said, you know what? Yeah, I want to work on, I want to get some clarity around my son and the shoulder and everything. So she asked me to pick someone to represent my son. So I picked this guy, and I pick him because I know that he's a facilitator. So I know that, you know what, he's going to get the job done. Like he knows what he's, and he was young-ish. So I said, all right, I'm pick him to play Max. And then she picked other people to play all of the men in my family. So, you know, my husband, my dad, my husband's dad, all of the generations behind the one playing Max. And it was very emotional for all the men and very beautiful. The unfolding was incredible. And it was about, you know, this surgery. And the end result was that for a little while longer, because you know how Susie is big on those words and those statements, but for a little while longer, exactly as I am for my son. For a little while longer, he wants to stay exactly as he is. And it seemed like all the men were really on board. The guy playing Max was, you know, just very emotional. And he was expressing himself. So I only know this guy as a facilitator. He has a big Instagram presence. Like he's really, you know, out there doing a lot of things. And he tells us that he played hockey throughout his entire youth. And that hockey, in fact, has made him the man who he is today. And that he uses hockey in his coaching, in everything that he does.
Oh, wow.
All of a sudden, my eyes opened because it was like, it's not just a sport.
Yeah.
This is like, and I knew that before, but it's different when you feel things on the field and you see things in front of you. It's like the whole rewiring of the brain starts to happen.
Yeah.
Everything happens on such a deeper, more meaningful level.
Yeah.
So I was transformed in this. The men were transformed by it. Everybody around was just, you know, I mean, like people who thought like hockey was just a game, all of a sudden were like, yeah, this is like amazing. Like I think everybody wanted to be a hockey player or no one or
that's amazing.
Oh, wait. The second the constellation ended at 4:00, that constellation. I go back to my seat. I thank everybody. And, you know, she does another constellation. I don't look at my phone or anything like that. And at the end, you know, it ends at 5 p.m. And I just look at my phone for a second and I see that there is a text that came in from my son to my husband and I. And it said, I have chosen, you know, the coach is going to call dad later on. I have chosen to delay the surgery. I'm going to finish the season. This is my story. And I just want you to support me. But I'm doing it no matter what.
Wow.
So I was able to write back with a very light heart and deep clarity and deep knowing, I love you and I support you. And like my mom says, you cannot make up this shit. It was literally
because it was, and the text came at 4:15. You told me.
It came as soon as the constellation ended. He sent that text.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
So, you know, he's playing. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens. But this was his decision. And no matter what happens, I keep hearing Susie with that statement.
A little
while longer, exactly as I am. So in parenting, using family constellation is definitely advisable. Because had I not been in that like obviously there was a big, deep movement for everyone there, but it allowed me to truly release and allow and be the parent that he required in that moment. Maybe if I hadn't, I would have said, let's talk about this some more. Oh, you may think this is your journey, but guess what? It's my journey too. And I'm the one who's going to have to take care of you. And I want you to get the surgery now. Blah, blah, blah. No. I am so grateful to Susie and to everybody who was there because it allowed me as a mom to show up the way that I intend every morning to show up as.
Mm.
And this is where the universal law and constellation get so well connected, is that Susie doesn't come to New York that often. She was that day, okay, because you created it. You created the perfect, I could not do this constellation. I'm
Yeah.
emotionally involved, okay? You had to have the best, okay, because Susie, like Mark, because I really train with both of them and I love them because they're so great together, masculine and feminine energy. Susie was there exactly the day because she was there twice, 2 Saturday in a row,
Mm.
okay? Oh no, the Saturday and the Sunday, I'm sorry.
No. Saturday, then she came back the following Saturday.
No, no, the following Saturday. Yeah, I forgot the word. And you went that time where you had to hear that. And
Yes.
I went the
week
week
after.
after. And it was, again, very well good timing.
John, if you would have seen the guy who I chose to play, like, it's not like I looked at him and thought, oh, you look like a hockey player. Like,
Yeah.
that didn't cross my mind at all. I mean, there was nothing like, and I don't like, I assume that everybody in there, whatever, like this guy, there is nothing about him that screams hockey player, nothing. So then to know that, and I get chills thinking about what he benefited from, because he also, told us afterwards he has a 2-year-old son. And, so all of the healing, and that's why we're so interconnected in all of this. And when you go on the field, you create this family and your soul and your ancestors show up for you in the best way possible. So it was amazing.
If we wrote a movie about the coincidences that happened, people would be like, no, we don't believe it. That's not true.
Yeah, no.
Because, and it happens every single time. It's like turning the light on. And, for the longest time, I thought about, when COVID happened, it's like, did the magic go away? Did the, in Encanto, the movie Encanto, did the little, light go out? Did the little candle go out? It's like, no, it's still there. It happens on Zoom. Michelle, when you were doing constellations on Zoom and we were like, people 3,000 miles away in Australia, or 4,000 or 5,000 miles away in Australia, were having the immediate reaction and, representation. And it was 12 hours apart. It's just such a miracle. We live in and work in a miraculous modality. And I'm so grateful that I get to do this stuff with people like you, like both of you, we're so blessed, and I'm so excited about what the future holds, and just making this legacy and helping heal the world. I mean, that's what I think what we're doing at the end of the day, right? We're helping heal the world and not, create more connection and create more abundance and create more lasting stories. And Michelle, your work with, and both of you, your work with Tony Robbins, of all people, of, this massive voice and this work is incredible. And some of the people that we're connecting with I'm just so humbled. I get very emotional when I think about this, but I get very, just being in presence of grace. And I see that happening in constellations on a regular basis. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for this. This has been such a cool conversation. And I'm so blessed to call both of you friends, and family and my energetic family, in so many ways. And, just want to always honor you, Michelle, and for everything that you've done for me, particularly because you've worked on my business. You facilitated constellations for me, so I'm always extraordinarily grateful. And one of the reasons I'm here doing what I'm doing is because of the conversation that you and I had in the car. We were driving to do another podcast, and, you were telling me that we need to spread this, right? And I'm listening. So I'm here to serve, and I'm so happy I get to do it with people like you. So And Masha, I'm so excited about what the future holds. So yeah, this is very exciting. And thank you guys.
Thank you. And I'm excited of everything, where you're going to bring it.
Yeah.
People like you and Mash, where you're going to bring it, how far you're going to bring it. So I will be the ancestor watching from behind.
We'll keep you properly staffed and worked. Yeah, exactly. We'll be well supported and well staffed. So
I'll be behind you. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. You won't get bored.
Last thing I want is to be bored.
Yeah, exactly. So if people want to get a hold of you, how does that happen? What's the best way to do that?
So it's really accessible. I mean, it's MichelleBlechner.com is her website. And we also are, on social media, Missing Link, Masha216 on Instagram. Very, very accessible. Like I think my phone number is up on the website, so you can call me, you can text me. And I have a lot of people calling and texting me to coordinate appointments with Michelle. So yeah, you could find us. Definitely.
And you're going to be here. You come to South Florida often, and you guys do come to South Florida often. So, keep an eye out and follow all the social media links. It's, an incredible opportunity. I've done so much work with you, Michelle and Masha, that I'm just so grateful, and don't miss the opportunity if you have it. So thank you guys so much. Love you guys. This has been amazing.
Love you.
Thank you guys
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Zulu One podcast. If you found value in today's podcast, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means everything to us. And thank you for being part of this journey.